In 2017, a craze swept through cryptocurrency markets. It wasn't Bitcoin or Ethereum. It wasn't a cryptocurrency at all. What was this craze? It was a game called CryptoKitties that involved the collection and trading of digital cats. What's most notable about this craze is not that some people were willing to pay astronomical amounts of money for the privilege of owning a digital cat, but rather the new technology that this craze announced to the world. Non-fungible tokens, or NFTs for short, had arrived. This is the second video in our series on the wonderful world of NFTs. In video 1, we covered some of the background to the subject, including a look at the basics of what NFTs are and how they work. If you missed it and want to get up to speed, then you can click on the link that's showing on the screen. In this video, we're going to dive deeper into the world of NFTs. Moving away from a discussion of the technology itself, we'll focus instead on the many creative and innovative ways that people are applying this technology. A technology which is changing the way that people interact with things as diverse as art, sports, gaming, and even music. My aim in doing so is not just to explain what NFTs are, but also to help you understand why so many people are so excited by the possibilities that NFTs offer. Hi guys, my name is AG Hunter. Welcome back to my channel. My goal is to help you make better investment decisions by providing quality analysis of cryptocurrencies. If you like what you see in this video, please hit both those like and subscribe buttons. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. We finished our last video with an introduction to the use of NFTs in the gaming industry, so this is where we'll pick up our story today. In 2020, the global gaming industry was projected to generate a revenue of approximately $180 billion. That's $180 billion. As an industry, gaming is bigger than the entire global film industry and the North American sports markets combined. If gaming was a country, its economy would be bigger than countries like Hungary and the Ukraine. There's big bucks to be made in gaming. So how do NFTs fit into this market? The answer is something called in-game purchases. A survey done in 2019 showed that 85% of video game revenue comes from free-to-play games. If people are spending money to play games but aren't paying to buy the game up front, then that means they must be buying things in the game itself. This implies that the bulk of revenue generated in the gaming industry is generated from in-game purchases. So what kind of things do players buy in-game? There's a variety, but one of the most common is what is generically called a special item. Special items have been a feature of games for over 2 decades. The example you most commonly see used is that of a sword in a fantasy roleplay game. A special weapon or a special kind of armor or special magic potion can give a gamer a significant advantage in any game that they try to play. A similar example might be a special weapon in a game like Call of Duty. A different kind of in-game purchase is something called a skin, which is a cosmetic upgrade for your in-game character. More than half of gamers surveyed purchase skins or other cosmetic upgrades for the games that they participated in, on average spending $75 per person. A different source estimated revenue from in-game purchases as approximately $87 billion in 2017. So we know that people buy these things and that they spend considerable amounts of money to do so. NFTs add elements of ownership and exclusivity to these already popular items. The beauty of NFT-based in-game items is not only that they are unique and rare, but most importantly, that a player is able to own them outright. The ability to own a rare, special, or one-of-a-kind item in any given gaming world is very attractive to game participants. The fact that these items are owned outright by the gamer, meaning that they can subsequently choose to sell the item to another gamer at a later date if they choose, only adds to their appeal. Many people believe that the future of gaming will see greater interoperability between games, potentially allowing gamers to move items and avatars between gaming worlds. If you've seen the movie Ready Player One, then you already understand the kind of environment that I'm describing. NFTs are seen as being the most likely way that this vision becomes a reality. At this point, if you're an existing gamer, you're possibly already sold. If you're not a gamer, then the fact that we know that the industry is so big and that people who do play games already spends billions of dollars on these kinds of items should be enough to convince you that there's a compelling argument for the use of NFTs in games. There are many other examples of the ways in which NFTs are being integrated into gaming environments. One of the pioneers in this space is a game called Gods Unchained, which describes itself as a competitive tactical card game. Your success in the game is dependent upon the quality of your deck of cards. Whilst free to play, players are able to buy better items to improve the quality of their deck and thus improve their performance in gameplay. Players are also able to earn special items in-game which they can then sell for cash on the game's internal marketplace. Over $7 million worth of transactions have taken place on the Gods Unchained marketplace to date. Perhaps fantasy sport is more your cup of tea. In the US alone, the revenue from the fantasy sports industry was $2.9 billion in 2019. So Rare is a global fantasy football game where players can buy NFTs representing their favorite football players to improve their fantasy team. You then compete in the fantasy football league with the team based on the players that you own. So Rare is licensed by 126 clubs globally, including big names like Bayern Munich, Juventus, and Liverpool FC. The support of large global brands such as these gives great momentum to this kind of use case more generally. The So Rare example provides a useful segue into another area where NFTs have taken the market by storm: collecting. So Rare isn't just a fantasy sports game, it's also a collectibles game. In the same way that CryptoKitties combine gaming and collecting, So Rare does the same thing, allowing players to collect player cards that represent their favourite football stars. NFTs have the potential to change the way we interact with all kinds of collectibles, from baseball cards to rare art. Digital collectibles of all kinds, including digital art, are extremely popular right now. One reason is the ease of establishing ownership and authenticity that NFTs can provide. Authenticity really matters in just about any collectible item you can name. To understand why this is so important, we can start with a true story. In the mid-1990s, an unknown woman approached what was arguably the most reputable art gallery in New York City and claimed to be in possession of a series of valuable artworks painted by some of America's greatest painters. Over the following 15 years, the gallery and its staff facilitated the sale of over $80 million worth of never-before-seen artworks from the woman's private collection. One piece alone sold for $17 million. While some questions were asked, many of America's best-known art critics, world-renowned experts in their respective fields, queued up to confirm the authenticity of these works. In one case, the artist's own son confirmed that the painting in question was definitely a work that had been produced by his father. Except they weren't authentic. They were all fake. Every single one of them. Once the scandal became known, paintings previously considered high-priced masterpieces became worthless overnight. Proving authenticity is a big problem in many areas of collecting. It's also a problem that NFTs solve. Embedded in the metadata of the NFT is all the information needed to confirm the authenticity of the item in question. I have some sports memorabilia hanging on the wall in my dining room. Stuck to the back is a plastic sleeve with a certificate of authenticity that proves that the print that I own is a genuine autographed item and therefore has value. The problem is that if I lose the contents of the plastic sleeve, then I lose the ability to prove the authenticity of the item. Without it, my valuable signed print becomes almost worthless. This is the same as what happened to the artworks in our story once it was proved they were fake. Authenticity really matters, and traditionally it has been problematic, with some works undervalued due to an inability to prove provenance, as it's termed in the art world, while other clever fakes sell to unsuspecting collectors for millions. Art and collectibles backed by NFTs would solve this problem. The benefits of NFTs in the art world are not limited to proving authenticity. The benefits to the artists themselves are considerable, most significantly in the flexibility and control they grant the artist over their own work. Each NFT is relatively inexpensive to mint, meaning that once a particular artwork is completed, the artist can easily make multiple copies for sale. The artist has the choice of whether to make a small number of copies and sell them at a premium price, or whether to make hundreds of copies and sell them for $10 each. For smaller artists, the relatively low cost of production plus other benefits of NFTs make it easier to bring items to market in the first place. If you're a small artist, just getting your artwork seen can be a real challenge. Many galleries charge artists to display their works, meaning that the artist must pay just to get their work into the public eye. Galleries will also charge commissions of up to 50% when the artist does successfully sell an item. Galleries have bills to pay, including rent, utilities, and wages, and they have to cover their expenses just like any other business. From the point of view of the small artist, however, all of these issues create obstacles to the artist actually getting their work in the hands of potential buyers. Digital marketplaces such as Rarible make it easier for artists to get their work in front of the public, and with their low commissions and overheads, more of the value of the art ends up in the pocket of the artist themselves. NFTs will even allow artists to build royalties into the token, so that if the work is subsequently resold, the artist earns a portion of the proceeds of the resale price. NFTs won't make bad art into good art, but they will make it easier for smaller artists to get their artwork out there by removing many of the gatekeepers of the traditional art world. But wait, I hear the skeptics saying, this is all bogus. If it's digital, I can just copy it. Why would I pay to own it if I can have a copy for free? If you check the comments section of my previous video, you'll see this exact objection raised by one of my subscribers. It's actually really easy to rebut, however, and it all comes back to authenticity. Copies have existed for as long as art has existed. People have always valued the real deal, however. Our story of the $80 million art fraud provides a great example. The artworks in that case were valued in the tens of millions of dollars until they were found to be fake. They were fake so good that some of the best art historians in the world thought that they were real, yet when they discovered they were fake, they were worthless. Malcolm Gladwell gives another great example in his podcast, Revisionist History. He tells the story of a particular painting by Van Gogh called Vase with Carnations. This one is real and a genuine Van Gogh. The only problem is that it's not a very good Van Gogh. It's commonly considered to be a painting that he used to practice some techniques he subsequently used in his other more noteworthy masterpieces. It's the art equivalent of a rough draft. The painting is owned by the Detroit Institute of Art in the United States, and it isn't even considered of good enough quality to display, so it sits in a storeroom somewhere gathering dust. It's still a Van Gogh though, and it's worth a lot of money, because authenticity matters. We don't need to dive into the world of rare art though to see examples of this phenomenon. A more contemporary example is a Harry Potter book. I can buy a copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone for $8 at my local department store. A first edition copy, however, is a collector's item that sells for over $3,000. They are exact copies of one another. They could not be more the same, but the original is worth 375 times what the copy is worth. Why? Because authenticity matters. This kind of thing happens everywhere we find people collecting things. Another example is rare coins. The most valuable Australian coin ever made was the the mint condition 1930 Australian penny. Mint condition means it was never circulated, so it was basically pressed and then made into a collectible. Only 6 were ever produced. One of those 6 recently sold for $1.15 million. What's a non-mint condition 1930 penny worth? About 20 grand. Now that's not bad for a penny, but it's not $1 million. A 1931 penny is worth even less, about $5,000 for a mint condition example. That's 3 coins, all of which were originally worth a penny, that now have vastly different values, showing that people will pay truly astronomical amounts of money for items that are considered rare or unique. This brings us back to what has become the mantra of this video. Authenticity matters. People will pay a lot of money to own a verifiable original of a rare item. They always have. This applies to everything from paintings to rare books and other kinds of collectibles. So next time you hear someone raise this kind of objection when they hear about NFTs, make sure you enlighten them about why they might be missing the point somewhat. Authenticity doesn't just matter for collectibles, however. The music industry is another area where interest in NFTs is gathering steam. The band Kings of Leon have recently announced they will be releasing a limited edition NFT-backed version of their latest album. In addition to the music, each NFT-backed album will come with limited edition artwork, other bonus items, and in some cases, tickets to Kings of Leon concerts. This represents 2 potential use cases for NFTs showcased in one example. The first is authenticity of music being sold. The birth of the internet and other related digital technologies gave rise to issues such as piracy, where music and videos were copied and distributed indiscriminately, decimating the livelihoods of many musicians. Services like Spotify have gone some way to rectifying this, but not far enough to satisfy many musicians, as the bulk of the revenue goes to the streaming provider and not the musician themselves. The technology underlying NFTs has the potential to give artists control of their own music, and while piracy won't go away, the additional perks, like those being given by Kings of Leon, may make it more attractive for people to pay for the real thing rather than copying a cheap knockoff. I don't have a good idea of what the future of NFTs look like in this area, but a lot of people are thinking about it, and I'm confident that Kings of Leon won't be the last artist to go down this path. The other potential area is ticketing. Almost all tickets are already digital, but issuing NFT-based tickets gives additional flexibility to the ticket issuer. A maximum price could be set for the ticket, for example, which would effectively eradicate the problem of scalpers. The possibilities are endless. At the end of the day, like all things in crypto, NFTs are about control. In the same way that people are attracted to decentralized finance products because of the ability to retain control of their own funds, NFTs will be attractive to people who wish to have greater control over the things that they love to buy and sell, whether it be an artist who wants more control over the pricing and distribution of their art, or a collector who wants to have greater certainty that the items they are collecting are genuine, or a gamer who wants to own a one-off in-game item and also have the ability to resell that item should they desire. NFTs give people the ability to have greater control over the things that they love to buy and own. And that is what cryptocurrency is supposed to be all about. That concludes our whirlwind tour of the NFT landscape as it stands in early 2021. I haven't covered everything, but hopefully I've given you enough examples to get you interested. In our next video, we'll turn to some of the risks of buying NFTs. Despite the appeal of NFTs for all of the reasons that I've outlined above, the catchphrase, "do your own research," has never been more appropriate than in the overhyped world of NFT collectibles. Make sure you tune in next time for the 3rd installment in our NFT series, where we'll talk about the things you need to know before you wade into the NFT marketplace. So if you're still here, that means you've watched all the way to the end, which must mean that you like what you've seen. Please hit like and subscribe to show your appreciation. Also, if you have any comments or suggestions on this video, or would like to suggest topics for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.